Hey there, I, Zak Wolf, have once again gotten another idea for comparing a Berenstain Bears book with its TV adaptation. This time, it's a title that was always one of my favorite Berenstain Bears books since childhood. The Berenstain Bears Get the Gimmies. It was written and published in 1988. The year I was born, no less. Of course, the CBS animated series produced by Southern Star had ended a year before, so this never got adapted into a TV episode until the PBS The Nelvana series in 2003. And there were quite a few changes made, some not for the better. As I've stated before, Stan and Jan Berenstain had minimal involvement with the 2003 series, especially since there was that law in place that only Canadians could work on it. What with Nelvana being a Canadian company. But let me first start out with how the book opens. Look at the image for the poem. When it comes, behavior takes a turn for the worst. It's hard for parents to know what to do first. And yep, they do include that poem in the TV version, of course. Yep, there's the iconic image of the Bear family. One that was often used for merchandising, and also the title card for the 2003 TV series. It starts out with saying how the Bear family was nice to each other. As nice as they could be. But sometimes they were a little too nice. Sometimes the Cubs got too many treats, too many toys, and too many rides on the bucking duck at the mall. And it's at this point the Cubs kind of start to get out of character and act a lot younger than they're supposed to be. During this time, sister was 6 and brother was 8. But look at them on the bucking duck. It's as if they were 3 and 5 years old, respectively. The text continues here. How they could have been why brother and sister bear got the gimmies. Or maybe it was because there were treats, toys, and fun things to do wherever they hooked. At the supermarket, at the mall, on TV, and just about every which where. And then it goes right to the supermarket checkout and its candy racks. In the TV version, it starts right off with the Bear family beginning their grocery shopping, and Mama and Papa dread how their Cubs want to buy toys or treats at the supermarket.
Now, remember what I told you in the car. We're here to buy groceries, that's all. So no asking for toys or treats. Is that understood? Huh?
Uh-oh. It looks like we're off to a bad start.
Now, what did I just tell you on the way here?
I forget.
That we're not here to buy treats.
And as it goes on, the parents keep telling the Cubs to put back any toys or sweets they find throughout the store. Whereas in the book, we don't see the Gimmies until they are at the candy rack. Mama knows what's going to happen as she sees that old gimme gleam in their eyes. And she simply won't stand for their fussing at the candy rack. And then they begin cutely whining. But Mama, the gummy gumballs, my favorite! And chewy choppers, my favorite! While the TV version at the checkout, the Cubs start to ask Mama if they could get some candy.
Mama, can we get something?
Yes, you can. I forgot to pick up scouring pads. Could you please hurry over to aisle 3 and get a package?
But here, Papa decides to shut the Cubs up by getting them their favorite candies, reminding Mama that you're only young once. But just as Mama starts to explain to Papa that indeed the Cubs still need to learn such proper, mature behaviors while they are still young, only for brother and sister to interrupt, saying they want to ride the new bucking frog. Oh yeah, brother's acting really mature at his age. And this time the Cubs put up a whinier fuss, with sister bouncing on her butt, too. Look at Mama's evil face there. And the narration does say that Papa just bought them treats and thought that was enough for one day. But the Cubs made such a fuss that he decided to put some money into the ride's slot. That bucking frog almost looks evil here, like a villainous frog. Maybe that's why Butterfly looked better than the bucking duck. And all Papa can say is, Cubs will be Cubs. And then Mama begins to tell Papa that as they go to the parking lot that while it's true that Cubs will be Cubs, it's no excuse for jumping up and down and making a scene when they want something. To which it leads to where things go really wrong. The Cubs spot a bear in the parking lot, resembling Ned Flanders, hawking little rubber cats that stick out their tongues and you squeeze them. And despite Mama scolding them that she doesn't want to hear another word, at first the Cubs are all happy here, but then you turn the page and... now they throw a big fit, as if they were much younger than they really are. Jumping up and shouting and whining, please, 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 over and over. At least they're saying please. And despite the title being Get the Gimmies, they aren't saying gimme, 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 like that little girl in a Goofy movie or something.
I don't know, Goof.
Gimme, gimme, gimme!
Something's wrong. Stealing stuff and causing riots and...
No waxes.
But then Papa finally snaps and yells at him, stop that fussing! But the little brats don't even hear him due to their noisy immature tantrum, to the point where everyone in the parking lot takes notice and greatly embarrasses Papa. In the TV version, as I said, they don't get any candies at the supermarket, and there's no bucking frog for them to ride. And so Brother thinks he and Sister are going to leave empty-handed until they see the toy seller here. To which they do indeed embarrass Papa, but not with a really big tantrum like here. Instead, they put on their greatest cute charm and a guilt trip.
And look at how cute they are. Please, 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 can we get them?
Aw, come on, folks. Why don't you buy your cubs a treat?
Oh, Papa, I'd appreciate it ever so much.
Oh, all right.
And a couple in the parking lot does take notice and think the Cubs are being cute. And that's what embarrasses Papa, in addition to said guilt trip. But regardless, Papa's emotions are still the same. And at least in the TV series, the Cubs thank Papa.
Thanks, Papa. Thank you, Papa.
We don't get any mention of that in the book, though it's possible they might have done that. After all, if they didn't, the text probably would have said so. And then in both versions, among arriving home, Papa Bear goes on a rant on how it was the worst case of the galloping, greedy Gimmies he had ever seen. And in the book, it says he roars, while he doesn't raise his voice as much in the TV version, probably due to its more relaxed nature.
Of all the outrageous, embarrassing, shameful behavior. That was the worst case of the galloping Gimmies I have ever seen.
And both have Mama bringing up that it's also partly her and Papa's fault for giving in whenever they make a fuss. With Papa pointing out in the TV version that what else could he do with people staring at him in the parking lot? Of course, in the TV version, that was the only fuss they put up, so to speak. So far as you can see, the TV version is a lot less intense. Again, due to the more relaxed nature. People rarely yell and shout in the 2003 TV series, being a lot more wholesome and kid-friendly. Heck, the 1980s series often had characters shout or lose their tempers when need be, including, of course, the infamous Messy Room episode of Mamalucia, and that particular series has been criticized for the yelling and temper losing. But to be fair, that does happen quite a bit in the actual books, albeit not as much. And so, in the books, Papa calls the Cubs in for a talking to, on why it's not a good idea to be selfish and greedy and want everything in sight. And in the TV version, Mama is also lecturing the Cubs, bringing up how they should also think of others instead of themselves, On the book here, Papa brings up that they should count their blessings. Almost like a precursor to the 1995 Berenstain Bears book that was also adapted into an episode of the 2003 Nelvana series. Except, of course, here there isn't a thunderstorm going on to punctuate that lesson. I do like how while the TV version has the Cubs seem to have trouble understanding the lesson, here they smile and say, "Oh yes, Papa, it makes a lot of sense." And it almost sounds like they're just lying and brushing it off. Especially since Grizzly Gramps the Gran arrived for a visit right now. And so brother and sister rush to the door, open it, and begin jumping and chanting, "What you bring me? What you bring me? What you bring me?" They immediately forgot what Papa was just telling them. Or like I said, they were just lying that they understood. And again, in the TV version, their fuss here is greatly toned down, but still amusing.
Hi there.
What did you bring me? Yeah, what did you bring us?
I can't believe you two. You didn't even say hello. Now, that's it. Up to your room. And there will be no treats for a week, a month, a year.
Yep, that's the infamous part of the story. And of course, in the book, it's far more intense, with Papa roaring loudly, "Up to your room! Up to your room, and no TV or treats for a week, for a month, for a year!" Yep, as you may recall, my younger brother always thought that part was funny as well, as I mentioned in my Let's Play video of the original Richard Scarry's Busy Town CD-ROM game, where we'd say that to Mr. Fix-It after intentionally breaking the cup. And I've also referenced it in some of my other YouTube poops.
Arthur, this means no TV for
Treats for a week, a month, a year.
What?
And of course, in both versions, after the Cubs go to their room, Grizzly Gramps and Gran ask what the problem is. And Mom and Papa fill them in on how the galloping greedy Gimmies, as brother and sister sneak a listen. And then Gramps tells Papa how he himself was quite a gimme cub at such a young age. At old Roof Grizzly's general store, where they sold all sorts of trees and toys. And look at little Papa's tantrum there. He wanted everything in sight. He was that selfish and greedy. While in the TV version, he wants a toy truck from the store in the flash hat. And he does indeed throw a fit. Perhaps the most intense case of the Gimmies in the whole episode. But still looks funnier in the book. And in that, it's mentioned how the Gimmies got so bad they couldn't go there anymore. Until they worked out a deal with Papa to prevent future incidents, in which he decided on a single treat ahead of time. And if he should come down with the Gimmies, he gets nothing at all and they go right home. And while it does sound like a good plan they all agree on, even the Cubs, it still undermines what the parents were intending to teach the Cubs by still allowing them to get something they want, even if they behave very well. While it does seem to imply that they may eventually outgrow wanting or picking a single treat whenever they go to the supermarket, it's still kind of a broken Aesop. Fortunately, the TV version rectifies that with the additional lesson on thinking of others. The flashback to young Papa Bear also includes Grizzly Gramps and Gran giving in and buying him the toy truck. But among seeing a bear family living on the edge of poverty with barely enough money for food, Papa feels sorry for them and gives the cub a toy truck to raise his spirits. And that was pretty much what cured his Gimmies. And then the Cubs apologize for how they acted and correct their greetings, with a little humor thrown in.
And if you brought us something, you can just leave it in the car because we're not even thinking about it. What?
And then we get the next trip to the supermarket, in both versions. But each one plays out very differently. In the book, they try out that Gramps and Gran plan, and it works, complete with the Cubs feeling very proud of their good behavior without putting up any fusses, especially when they pass the candy rack. And yep, I remember when our old local supermarket sold paperback books for kids, including the Berenstain Bears books. And in my family, in most cases, the treat my brother and I would get on each family supermarket trip would be one of said paperback books. Because we were a strong believer in literacy, and these books were also pretty educational. Heck, I think we even bought this book at that supermarket. I remember finding the book cover funny when I first saw it, and our parents agreed that it was a good life lesson story and couldn't resist buying a copy. But just after the Bear family purchases everything, another family behind us kept throwing a big fit in the very bad case of the Gimmies over the candy wrap, acting like brother and sister did in the parking lot over the little rubber cat toys, along with the book cover. How the narration says, "You never earned such a fuss," with sister and brother echoing Papa's comments on how the Cubs is showing outrageous, disgraceful, and embarrassing behavior and want to leave. As if they know how embarrassing they were when they used to do it. You'd think sister would have said, "I can't believe I used to do that." I guess she didn't feel like saying it. And so the Bear family leaves the supermarket all smiles, having gotten rid of a pretty bad case of the galloping greedy Gimmies. While in the TV version, the next supermarket trip goes differently, but still on a happy note for everyone. With brother and sister each donating an old toy they don't need anymore to a toy donation bin for the Cubs hospital. Because they know it's better to give than receive, and are glad they can help Cubs that have it off worse. I would assume brother has at least one other remote-controlled vehicle and decided he could get rid of one of them. But especially since earlier in the episode when they first arrive at the supermarket, Mama points out the donation bins, but the Cubs don't care, since they were selfish and greedy at that point. And among realizing the Cubs had gotten over their Gimmies, they do one of those everybody laughs endings.
Mama, I think the Cubs' greedy gimme days are finally over.
I think you're right.
So at least the redeeming quality of TV version is modifying the life lesson a bit and being more realistic compared to that Gramps and Grant plan from the book version that still leaves a bit to be explained. Of course, the book version is still funnier, with brother and sister Bears had a character, tantrums and fussing, and Papa Bear's classic yelling. In fact, regarding all of that, there's a lesser-known follow-up book of sorts that Stan and Jan Berenstain put out in 1998, under Random House's Jelly Bean Books line that was basically their answer to the Little Golden Books, discontinued in 2001, among Random House actually acquiring Golden Books. Take a look. The Berenstain Bears get the Screamies. Yeah, look at that cover. The Berenstain Bears help books, published under the Jelly Bean Books line, would face basic issues typical small children may face. And get the Screamies here seems to largely focus on being on your best behavior when out shopping. As Mama brings brother and sister with her to do errands at the Bear Country Mall, provided they stay calm and quiet, even if they go past the toy store. And they do so. And they're being unusually calm and stoic. At least until they go past the toy store, to which they act younger, and it becomes get the Gimmies all over again. Look at them. Oh, they're like, I want a new Beardy! I want a new video game! And they start screaming. And this time, after brother and sister's tantrum for a while, Mama herself gets the screaming Screamies as well. And it's really hilarious. It reminds me of that really funny Vicks cold medicine commercial from the UK, where a mother is fighting a cold while bringing her kids to the supermarket, and when one of them throws such a tantrum about wanting candy, the mother gets the screaming Screamies herself. shocking her bratty son and everyone else around her. And this book just ends with Mama stomping her tantrum after brother asks if they can leave now. So yeah, it's a lot more intense than Get the Gimmies, and doesn't seem to have as good a life lesson. So it's no wonder why this book was not adapted into the Nelvana animated series. But it would have been funny to see them take a stab at it. And then along with another one of those help jelly bean hooks. The Berenstain Bears get the don't have tos. Yeah, as you can probably tell, it's about Sister Bear not wanting to use the bathroom before leaving the house. And you can guess what happens. But I'll probably talk about this more in another video. Speaking of which, I hope you enjoyed this comparison of mine, as it has been almost a couple of years since I last did a Berenstain Bears book to TV episode comparison. And very recently did that YouTube book, the Berenstain Bears and Climate Change. What with March being here, but enough Berenstain Bears talk. Just keep watching my YouTube channel to see what I do next.